Everything you're about to hear is just my assessment. It's my opinion, and not to be taken as fact.
Rod Parsley and Sean P. Diddy Combs occupy vastly different cultural arenas, one a televangelist and the other a music mogul. Yet when examining their patterns of behavior, disturbing parallels emerge, especially in their alleged tendencies to exploit and manipulate those under their influence. Both have been accused of grooming individuals for personal benefit, underpaying or mistreating employees, and fostering environments rife with abuse. These similarities are deeply troubling, and their implications warrant a blunt, unvarnished critique. Grooming, manipulating the vulnerable for personal gain. Rod Parsley and P. Diddy have both been accused of grooming individuals, albeit in different contexts. Parsley, operating in the realm of evangelical Christianity, has a history of cultivating young, impressionable individuals within his ministry, particularly through his school, Valor Christian College, and World Harvest Church. This grooming often involves indoctrinating students and employees into an environment that demands absolute loyalty to Parsley and his family, often under the guise of spiritual mentorship. Former students and staff have reported being manipulated into serving the Parsleys' interests, sometimes at the expense of their personal or spiritual well-being. Similarly, P. Diddy has faced allegations of grooming young artists and employees within his music empire, Bad Boy Records, for exploitation. Several artists and associates have accused him of manipulating their careers to benefit his own, often keeping them bound to unfair contracts or exploiting their talent while offering little in return. Former Bad Boy artists like The Lox and Maze have publicly decried Diddy for taking advantage of them financially and controlling their careers through predatory business practices. While their methods differ, both men have demonstrated a propensity for using their influence and authority to manipulate those under their care, fostering dependency and exploiting the vulnerable for personal gain. Underpaying and exploiting employees. A legacy of greed. Another glaring similarity between Parsley and Diddy is their alleged mistreatment of employees, particularly in the form of underpayment and overwork. Parsley has faced numerous accusations of exploiting staff and volunteers at World Harvest Church. Former employees have described a culture where low wages, unpaid overtime, and unrealistic expectations were the norm. Some have even alleged that Parsley used spiritual guilt to justify these practices, telling staff that their sacrifices were for God's kingdom while he and his family enjoyed lavish lifestyles funded by church donations. Similarly, P. Diddy has been accused of exploiting his artists and employees for financial gain. Many former Bad Boy Records artists have spoken out about being underpaid or not paid at all for their contributions to the label's success. These accusations paint a picture of a man who prioritized his wealth and status over fairly compensating those who helped build his empire. In both cases, the exploitation is not just financial, but systemic, with both men creating environments where those under their leadership were made to feel disposable, undervalued, and easily replaceable. This pattern of exploitation is emblematic of a deeper greed and lack of regard for the well-being of others, a trait that stands in stark contrast to the principles of fairness and justice they publicly claim to uphold. Abuse and toxic environments, the fallout of power. Perhaps the most damning parallel between Parsley and Diddy is the culture of abuse that seems to permeate their respective spheres of influence. Parsley's ministry has been plagued by allegations of verbal, emotional, and spiritual abuse, with former staff and congregants describing a toxic environment where dissent was punished and loyalty was enforced through fear and manipulation. Reports of public humiliation, excessive control, and abusive leadership tactics have painted a grim picture of life within World Harvest Church. Diddy's world, while more secular, has its own share of abuse allegations. From claims of physical altercations to allegations of fostering a toxic workplace culture, Diddy has faced numerous accusations of mistreating those around him. His ex-girlfriend, Cassie, recently accused him of years of physical and emotional abuse, detailing incidents that suggest a pattern of controlling and harmful behavior. In both cases, the abuse is not incidental but structural, stemming from a concentration of unchecked power and a lack of accountability. Parsley and Diddy have cultivated environments where they are the ultimate authority, free to act without fear of reprisal. This abuse of power has left a trail of damaged lives and careers, a testament to the corrosive effects of their leadership. Narcissism and self-aggrandizement. A key factor driving the behavior of both Parsley and Diddy is their apparent narcissism and desire for control. Parsley's sermons often place himself at the center of God's plan, with frequent references to his own spiritual authority and legacy. His admiration for figures like Lester Sumrall, whom he seemingly idolizes to the point of idolatry, reflects a desire to align himself with greatness while elevating his own status. Diddy's narcissism manifests in his relentless self-promotion and insistence on being at the center of every narrative. Whether rebranding himself repeatedly, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy Love, or inserting himself into his artist's projects, Diddy has always ensured that his name remains synonymous with success, even at the expense of those around him. Both men use their platforms to glorify themselves, often at the expense of the people they claim to lead or support. This self-centered approach creates a culture where their personal gain and reputation take precedence over the well-being of others. Hypocrisy, preaching morality, practicing exploitation. What makes the parallels between Parsley and Diddy even more egregious is the hypocrisy inherent in their actions. Parsley, as a self-proclaimed man of God, preaches morality, generosity, and humility while allegedly exploiting his followers and employees. His luxurious lifestyle and the allegations of financial impropriety within his ministry starkly contrast the principles of servanthood and sacrifice that he professes to uphold. Diddy, on the other hand, has built a brand around empowerment and success, portraying himself as a mentor and benefactor to the artists under his label. Yet, the stories of exploitation and mistreatment that have emerged from former bad boy artists reveal a reality that is far less altruistic. His public persona as a champion of Black excellence is undermined by his alleged actions, which have often contributed to the very inequities he claims to fight against. Conclusion: a tale of power, corrupting leadership. The parallels between Rod Parsley and P. Diddy are a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the human cost of exploitation. Both men have used their influence to build empires, but the foundations of those empires are riddled with allegations of abuse, exploitation, and hypocrisy. Their actions serve as a cautionary tale for anyone in positions of authority, highlighting the need for accountability, humility, and a genuine concern for the well-being of those they lead. In the end, the legacies of Parsley and Diddy may be overshadowed by the harm they have caused, serving as a sobering testament to the corrosive effects of greed, pride, and the abuse of power. Their stories should prompt both their followers and society at large to demand better from leaders, whether in the church, the music industry, or any other sphere of influence. Let's go more in depth with this assessment. The psychological mechanisms behind their manipulation. To truly understand the disturbing parallels between Rod Parsley and Sean P. Diddy Combs, we must delve into the psychology behind their behaviors. Both men exhibit patterns of control and exploitation that align with classic narcissistic abuse, characterized by manipulation, gaslighting, and an ability to foster dependency among their subordinates. Their methods, though applied in vastly different cultural contexts, Parsley within televangelism and Diddy within the music industry, follow eerily similar trajectories. Cultivating a culture of dependence. Both Parsley and Diddy create environments where those under their influence become dependent on them for approval, success, and livelihood. This dependency is achieved through a carefully orchestrated cycle of reward and punishment. Parsley fosters dependence through spiritual manipulation. At Valor Christian College and World Harvest Church, young people are often recruited with grand promises of a divine calling or a higher purpose, only to find themselves trapped in an environment where their obedience is demanded under the guise of faith. Their value is tied directly to their loyalty to Parsley and his ministry. Questioning him, seeking outside opportunities, or leaving the ministry is framed as a betrayal not just of him, but of God himself. Diddy, in the secular sphere, employs similar control tactics in the music industry. Young artists, often from impoverished backgrounds, are lured in with promises of fame, wealth, and opportunity. Once signed to Bad Boy Records, however, they frequently find themselves bound by predatory contracts that grant Diddy complete control over their careers. Many former Bad Boy artists, Maze, The Lox, and others, have spoken of how Diddy controlled their money, sabotaged their independence, and kept them financially tethered to him while presenting himself as their benefactor. The key similarity here is that both men rely on a system of control where their subordinates have few, if any, viable alternatives, ensuring they remain reliant on their leadership, no matter how toxic or abusive the relationship becomes. Weaponizing loyalty, the psychological toll on followers. A hallmark of cult-like leadership, whether in religious institutions or the entertainment industry, is the expectation of unquestioning loyalty. Both Parsley and Diddy have historically positioned themselves as untouchable figures within their domains, punishing anyone who dares to challenge their authority. Rod Parsley's tactics, former students and staff at World Harvest Church have described an atmosphere of fear where questioning Parsley's authority results in public shaming, excommunication, or outright demonization. Many who have left the church speak of enduring psychological trauma, having been taught that leaving Parsley equates to leaving God's protection. Valor Christian College functions as more than a Bible school. It operates as an indoctrination center where students are groomed to adopt a mindset of absolute submission to Parsley's will. This is reinforced through financial dependence, students working unpaid hours for the church, and social isolation, cutting ties with former friends or family who question Parsley's methods. Former employees and volunteers have spoken out about how they were made to feel guilty for desiring fair wages, being told that they were serving the Lord and should not expect financial compensation. This is a blatant abuse of spiritual authority designed to justify exploitation. P. Diddy's tactics. Numerous bad boy artists have spoken about Diddy's vindictive nature. Those who challenge him or attempt to leave his label often find themselves blacklisted in the industry. The Lox famously had to fight to be released from their contracts, while Mace has openly accused Diddy of withholding millions owed to him. Diddy positions himself as a mentor, offering guidance and opportunities, only to use those relationships as leverage to maintain complete control over an artist's career. Cassie, Diddy's former girlfriend, revealed that his control extended far beyond business, alleging years of emotional, physical, and psychological abuse, demonstrating that Diddy's need for dominance was not limited to his professional dealings. The common denominator in both cases is the punishment of those who challenge their leadership, using methods that range from social ostracization, Parsley, to financial and career sabotage, Diddy. Financial exploitation, living in luxury, while others struggle. One of the most glaring hypocrisies in both men's careers is how they have amassed vast personal wealth, while those who worked tirelessly to build their empires were left struggling financially. Rod Parsley, a televangelist who lives like a king. While many of his followers struggle financially, Parsley enjoys a lavish lifestyle funded by church donations. He owns multiple homes, luxury cars, and expensive suits, while his congregation is urged to sow seeds into the ministry, often at great personal financial sacrifice. Many World Harvest Church employees and Valor Christian College students have reported being overworked and severely underpaid, often being coerced into working for free under the pretense that their service is for the Lord. Former church members have questioned the financial transparency of the ministry, with allegations that funds collected for missions or humanitarian efforts were instead redirected to support Parsley's extravagant lifestyle. P. Diddy, profiting off others while claiming to empower them. Diddy is notorious for exploiting artists through exploitative contracts, taking the majority of their earnings while leaving them with pennies. Despite preaching black empowerment, his own business practices have left many black artists destitute, while he amassed a fortune exceeding $900 million. In 2020, Mace publicly called out Diddy for keeping the rights to his music, preventing him from profiting off his own work, while Diddy continued to make millions. Artists like Biggie Smalls helped build the bad boy empire, yet Diddy has been accused of profiting off Biggie's legacy far more than Biggie's own family has. Both Parsley and Diddy thrive on the illusion of generosity, giving just enough to appear charitable while ensuring that the majority of the wealth and power remains concentrated in their own hands. Final thoughts. Two sides of the same corrupt coin. At first glance, Rod Parsley and P. Diddy seem like vastly different figures, operating in separate industries with different audiences. But beneath the surface, their methods of control, exploitation, and self-aggrandizement follow an almost identical blueprint. Both men groom and manipulate the vulnerable, ensuring those under them remain dependent. Both exploit employees and associates, keeping them financially and emotionally bound to their leadership. Both cultivate toxic environments where questioning them results in punishment. Both amass immense wealth while those who contributed to their success are left struggling. Both thrive on hypocrisy, preaching morality or empowerment while practicing unchecked greed and abuse. Rod Parsley and P. Diddy are not anomalies. They are products of systems that reward power-hungry, exploitative leadership. Their rise to prominence serves as a cautionary tale about what happens when charisma is mistaken for integrity and when unchecked power leads to systemic abuse. Their legacies should not be measured by their success, but by the countless lives they have harmed along the way. The question is, how much longer will people allow these figures to operate without accountability?